All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the Casually Tilted podcast. My name is Tyler, and I'm your host for episode number 4. We talk about random topics that can be historical or factual. With a group of strange individuals to help keep the conversation fun and interesting. And to go down that line real quick, we have. Hold on.
Bruh.
We
Who do we
have.
have?
We have myself. I already introduced myself. I'm Tyler. We have Engineered Soul.
You.
We have Broden.
What's good?
We have Trig.
Yeah.
And we got Lifeless Kirby.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have Jay
Let me
today.
talk to you.
We don't have Jay today, so we get our surprise guest Roden to talk about some topics.
Yeah, he got voluntold, so we're
Voluntold.
here. We're vibing. The cat is Milo's beautiful.
I was forced here.
I'm only here so I won't get fined.
Yeah, he has a gun to his head right now.
There's definitely not a gun put to his head by Jay. Definitely
Honestly, I could leave at any point in time because she's going to a bar. Like last second, she was like, "Hey, can I go to this bar?" I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
not.
she-
Now I'm here all alone.
Imagine we say you did the podcast and then you didn't do the podcast.
Halfway through, I just go silent. I'm playing Subnautica in the background.
I'll just put a still image of your image up there, and then I'll just make a robot speak for you.
Oh, yeah.
I
We got
am
the- we got
Broden.
the AI technology. We got the AI. It's okay.
Broden, keep talking for like 5 minutes so we can put it in the AI chat box and then we can type in whatever response we want for you to say.
Exactly. Let's do that.
Jesus.
Fuck Cody.
Well,
it going.
same as with every podcast. It is already went off the rails.
I mean, we're only in 2 minutes, so we gotta fucking. That's a new
it's
record.
About, it's about standard.
Yeah, that's
New
about
record.
standard. We
All that
lose the
matters
shit
is how
about
good the
humor.
editor is.
Jason, how good of an editor are you?
Oh fuck! It's
I don't know.
Jason.
Bro, you don't watch any of my videos anyway, so what do you know what I do? Hmm?
Why do you think I don't watch any of the videos?
Oh shit!
You don't even know what my editing is like, alright? I get
Yeah,
explosives, bombs.
I just
Tyler's gone. Right now, he's gone.
Ah,
I just kicked him out of the podcast in that middle second.
He got Among Us.
Mm-hmm.
I just realized fucking Jason's not using his face cam.
Yeah. I didn't actually get the shower because that game lasted ages.
Oh.
So I
But
don't
you want to be
want my
extra
greasy
hot
hair.
and sweaty.
I just don't want my greasy hair.
You got
He's
listen.
weak.
You have to go and give us the legitimate fucking like 0.5% of female audiences here. You got to be extra sweaty and extra fucking like jacked, ready to go, right? Because you're the only one that has their fucking camera on. And when you don't have your camera on, it doesn't happen.
You assume that we have a female audience.
That's why I said 0.5%.
Doesn't your mom watches this?
But yeah, my mom. My
You sure
mom
your mom's
actually
not a
ended
woman?
up. Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't ask.
Oh,
You know, it's kind of a family thing. If she does things I don't want to know about. All right, I choose to stay out of my own area.
Yeah.
Okay, now can we get on topic for this week, or do we
Make
want
up
another
to you.
10 minutes?
I think today we're actually just gonna skip over your topic and just talk shit the entire time.
We're just gonna talk
Okay,
shit the
okay.
entire time, going down the order of line. So we're gonna start with Tyler to talk shit about first.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm kidding. Tyler, what
And then
is our
on to
topic for the day?
Jason.
Okay, now that I have control of the podcast for like half a millisecond, I will explain the topic today. Today is a little bit different. The last couple episodes have been on gaming, horror movies, that kind of thing, conspiracy theories. This one's going to be a little different, and this one's going to be my personal, like, this is my life. And that will be like, it's going to be about motorsports. Everything from F1, NASCAR, probably majority dirt racing because I understand everything a little bit more, but we will touch on at least the major ones: F1, NASCAR, dirt, and like maybe some autocross too if we have the time for it. But I want to start with: does anybody have background with motorsports? Been to a race, watch races on TV. I'm talking even video games. Like you could have played NASCAR 2008 for all I care.
What about
Just
NASCAR
anybody.
1999?
Yes, that works. That anything. Jason?
I've been to a NASCAR race one time, and it was because I was on a high school robotics team, and one of the drivers was the son of one of our mentors, I think, if I remember properly. And they sponsored our team, so we ended up showing up to the thing to support the driver and all that.
Oh damn, that's actually dope.
Yeah, I mean, it's the high school robotics team was really fun and stuff, but that whole racing thing was it. Don't get me wrong, it lasted a while, but it was pretty interesting watching a bunch of cars go in circles. I'm not a big racing person myself, so yeah.
Broden, you have anything? You've ever played anything or?
So apart from playing games, like I said, of course, and I've also like my dad had bought a driving sim back when I lived at his place, and he was a big fan of the old NASCAR games, so we'd play on the PS3 and all that stuff, just on the big ass screen that we had. But in terms of like real stuff, I think when I was like closer like to less than 10, older than 5, somewhere in that 5 years, my dad took me to the track in Indianapolis, and we watched, well, I don't know, some race, and I thought it was pretty cool, but it was really fucking loud, so I was like, what the fuck is this? Why are they driving in circles? This is super weird.
Shout out to Brickyard.
That's cool though. I mean, you got to go to Indy and watch a race. That's not a lot of people get to do that. Like, most people don't watch Indy, so that's kind of cool. All right, next we got the man himself, Greg.
Yeah. No, I'm in my fucking LA Night mode tonight. I don't know what it is. Probably this bush. But no, I watch NASCAR. I've played the video games. We used to I watch it every Sunday. Like, it was religion to watch NASCAR for like a year or two. We'd all pound beers, watch a bunch of NASCAR, and just talk shit the whole time. But then I slowly got out of NASCAR, and I'm currently obsessed with F1. I say obsessed with air quotations because we'll get into that in a little while, in a little bit. But yeah, no, Formula One is probably my go-to race watching and video game playing right now.
All right.
When it comes to racing.
And last but not least, we got Lifeless Kirby.
Yeah, so I like circles. Circles seem pretty cool. So when I got introduced to that NASCAR, I was like, God D, Willie, these motherfuckers going quick as shit, and they go in circles. That shit caught my eye. I love Kevin Hart. He made it funny. You know what I'm saying? But no, on a real note, NASCAR, I used to watch that shit back in the day a lot with my grandpa. It was pretty dope. We enjoyed our time. He drank beer. I drank that apple juice, acting like I got drunk.
R.I.P. Dale.
Yeah, R.I.P. my guy. That motherfucker goated, I swear to God. His son goated too, but hey, whatever. But I actually enjoyed that, but I haven't watched in so long that I actually am not up to date with any of the new shit that is happening in NASCAR.
All right. I'll give a little bit of background for myself. I grew up a lot like everybody else, basically. Parents used to watch NASCAR every week, like it was a religion.
Yeah.
I've watched. Then it went to NHRA drag cars. That was for about every other week when they would race. Then we would watch dirt races, and that was kind of the niche part of racing I jumped into. And actually, I have been driving dirt cars for, this will be year number 4, I think. 3 of them being in what is called a sport mod, which we'll go over that here in a little bit. And this year we bumped up to the kind of like the top level of the sanctioning body, which is basically a sanctioning body is just the rule book. We are at the top of our sanctioning body, so that's kind of my background with everything, along with playing video games all the way from early 2000s NASCAR games all the way up to the current, being on iRacing and F1 and all that other stuff. So All right. So it looks like the next point for today is the different kind of a generalized explanation of the different forms of all the motorsports out there. I'll start with NASCAR because I mean that's the one that we kind of all have a background in. That one is, your stereotypical turn left and then turn left again for hours. America's pastime, if you ask me.
Unless it's a road course.
Unless it's a road course. But that's been a new generation thing in NASCAR. They used to never hardly do that. But I mean, they're doing like 200 miles an hour in a circle for 2.5 hours. So
Yeah.
that's basically the generalized statement.
I see that when we're fucking tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me think. Sorry, you threw me completely off there. Mason, do you want to try and explain F1? Since that's your.
You want me to explain F1? Okay, so F1 is F1. No, I'm kidding. No, F1 is basically it's like IndyCar, but not as dog shit per se. Like it's more than just a fucking left turn. It's all the terrains, the different ways, more historic race courses than I think it's more historic than NASCAR. I mean, you got a couple like besides Daytona, what else do you know from NASCAR races? Like what are the other ones in Talladega? That's like 2. What other real fucking ones do you know like race course wise? So like right now you have Monaco, that's like the big fucking one. You have the Saudi Arabian race or course that's like probably like that's the race center because again, Saudi paid for that so they could have that as the last race of the year. But needless to say, it's very fast, very close interactions. It's always been like that. It's always been fast, been very close quarter, close everything, and it's very different from fucking NASCAR, and that's why I enjoy it more because it's not just a consistent fucking left turn.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a bigger racetrack with more turns than just a left turn.
That and it's not as long as NASCAR races per se because NASCAR races are like 200 laps, somewhere around there. I think the most laps you'll get in a Formula One is like 70 something, and I think that's in. I want to say the Great Britain one was 70 something laps, right, Tyler? Or am I off?
It's one of the European one. It's not Hungary because that's Red Bull. That's like 25 or 50.
No, it's around 50. Yeah, because I'll say that one's around 50-ish. But yeah, they're not like super long. They are 2-hour long races, yeah, but it doesn't feel like 2 hours if the race is good. Which recently it's not been good because fucking Max just wins every fucking race. Even being a Red Bull fan, it gets fucking tiring. Like there's no competition.
I mean, that sounds like a skill issue.
I mean,
No, F1 is a multi-million-dollar
Skill.
R&D budget every year, and your R&D team really kind of determines your ending result. And a lot of teams haven't caught up with Red Bull because Red Bull has significantly more funding.
yeah,
Sounds like a skill issue.
sounds like a budget issue.
Well,
Get
skill
good,
budget,
get
same
money.
thing. There's about 2 drivers that are left that are actually good. It's just one is winning all the time, and the other one is on probably one of the worst teams in F1. So
Who's the other?
Lewis Hamilton,
I wouldn't say Mercedes is the worst team. I feel
damn
like-
close.
No, they're not fucking Williams. Like the issue I have with Mercedes is just they're just not competitive anymore. Like I really don't think that, the biggest example was when it was one of the races. I don't remember which one. I'll double check and I'll send Jason the link for it. At a certain point in the race, like towards the end, they let fucking I think it was Sebastian Vettel fucking whoever's that's his teammate, right, Tyler? Sebastian Vettel?
I believe so.
Yeah, they let Vettel fucking pass Ricardo. Not Ricardo, fucking Fuck, I'm terrible with names. I'm awful with it. Even not drinking beer, I'm fucking awful with names. Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, he passed Hamilton, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Hamilton is your fucking breadwinner. He's been your breadwinner. How many F1 championships has he won for you? And you're gonna let Vettel pass him at a certain point, like at the end of the race? Like, you guys are fucking delusional. Like, whoever made that decision probably got fired.
Yeah, that's basically F1 is a lot of like F1. They play a lot more points than everybody else.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's more point based, and I think there's more politics in fucking F1 than NASCAR, to be honest with you. But
that's a debatable topic. But
that's yeah, we don't have time for that. We could that'll take an hour or two.
yeah, you could talk for 2 hours about politics, but we're not going to because this is not a political.
I mean, it's not even that, but
Okay.
it's just like it's just too much bullshit behind everything for that. But I will say, and another thing about a difference between Formula One and NASCAR is NASCAR has a certain set of like tire allocation. Like, they're just one set tire that everyone fucking uses, right?
Yeah,
So there's just one fucking tire that you're going to be racing on the whole fucking time. Whereas in Formula One, you have multiple fucking tires. Now, it doesn't seem very impactful, or doesn't sound very impactful at all to like new racing fans. Because even when I started watching, I was like, why the fuck do the tires make a difference? When in reality, it makes a huge fucking difference. Because you're gonna run soft, mediums, and hards, and the intermediate tire. Because the intermediate used to be like, they had a rain tire, but then they just switched to intermediates and just called it a fucking day. So the softer the tire, I think it's going to be the faster you're going to go, because you're going to be gripping easier to the road. And a lot of strategies, you're going to be running tires, like only like a certain amount of tires. Like, you only will change tires probably once, maybe twice a race. Whereas in NASCAR, you're going to constantly be changing your tires, because again, if you can get a good change off, you'll be fine. But in NASCAR and Formula One, the right tires for the right occasion, because it's always changing. You're never not going to use the same fucking tires every fucking race, unless your plan is to specifically start on softs and make your way to the hard tire, or vice versa. You can start off the hard tire and then go to the soft tire.
yeah. F1 has a lot more timing of everything. The timing can really throw off a team, whereas like NASCAR, your tires are. You could switch tires obviously over the course of the race, but you're still on the same tire compound the whole time. Which I'm really glad you brought up tires, because I'm actually going to address that a little later.
Yeah, but that's
in a different conversation.
Yeah.
So with that said, we got F1 and NASCAR out of the way. Then obviously you have your dirt. Dirt racing is, in my opinion, okay. So it's a slower form of what you see on a NASCAR weekend on a smaller scale. So a NASCAR track is somewhere between like 3/4 of a mile to like 1.5 miles, 2 miles plus. Dirt racing is usually on half miles or smaller, and with some classes having near the same horsepower. I'll get into the explanation of dirt classes and all that later, but ultimately it's the same. You're running 25 laps, 20 laps, and you're done. So I mean, it's a shorter version of, NASCAR F1. You're not sitting there for 2.5 hours watching the same race between all the classes and cars and everything. A race day, you can watch, 20 races probably, counting heat races and features, which I can explain that now kind of as a segue into like some brief explanation of terms and stuff in motorsports. Like heat races is mostly a dirt thing, like a dirt racing or maybe even short track asphalt race.
Yeah.
The difference between a heat and a feature, a heat is 8 laps to 10 laps typically. That's basically just to see where your car's at for the night. Like if you're way off like way off on setup for the night, you have that chance to run what you're running and then switch it before the feature at the end of the night, which is 20-25 laps. The feature is the last event for your class. Usually there's 4 or 5 classes in a race night, so you'll have 2-3 heats and then 5 features, or 2 or 3 heats per class and then 5 features.
So I mean, so what is the full difference between all these races? I know some are just got bigger tracks. They're more about speed, while NASCAR's a big circle. But what's the real difference between that makes dirt racing, in your opinion, more entertaining than the rest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in my personal opinion, when it comes to dirt racing, the track is constantly evolving, and a lot of times you can have 2 lanes that are equally as fast. Like you'll have one lane where the cars are at the very top of the track and one lane where they're at the very bottom of the track, and they're even. Whereas like NASCAR, F1 specifically, F1, it's very difficult for those cars to pass each other because there is one theoretical, or actually one statistical way around the track that they win the race. So passing is very difficult because they have to find a way to get them out of that fast line to get into the fast line to pass them. NASCAR, sometimes you can see where there's 2 different lines where the cars will be at, but typically NASCAR, because of it being on asphalt, the rubber will lay down on the track and then they have to get away from it, like get away from all the rubber. So a lot of the times they're going to end up following each other. And you'll see some moves, like what we call sliders in dirt. They kind of throw them in NASCAR too, where one car will follow another one. They'll go to the bottom and they'll like slide up in front of the one in front of them. That's just one way of trying to get around on like a 1-lane racetrack, wherever it's one car following the next and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
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 So to cut that short, I mean it would be that dirt is more competitive. It's got more racing going on every lap than
I'm assuming there's a lot
asphalt.
more crashes.
Yeah.
Typically, because NASCAR, you have a bunch of basically trained drivers from the time they're really little to the time they make it to NASCAR, which is the biggest like circle track racing that you can do as far as asphalt goes. So a lot of those guys have been racing since they were like 3, 4, some of them even 2, like really, really young. Dirt racing is kind of an or not an entry level sport, but anybody can do it. Like you don't have to be growing up racing since you were 2, 3, 4 to be able to race dirt. It helps, but you don't have to.
I was gonna say in NASCAR Heat 5, it made me start in the fucking dirt course.
Question for you then, with that. Ah, fuck. Hold on, my headset fell off. Fuck.
His question,
Yeah.
his question can't be asked
Anyway.
without notice.
Question: If you say that the dirt is kind of like more of an entrance or like anybody can do it, how exactly did you get started? Like, what was the process like?
Well,
Yeah.
so for me, it was my brother bought a car in 2018 in like July. We put it together with some help from another group of guys up here, and he raced it for a couple nights, and then the season was over. And my dad bought me a car, and from then on, we've raced ever since then. We miss a couple of nights here or there just because we don't have all the time in the world, but yeah, it's pretty easy to get into as far as if you have the money and can do it. Somebody is bound to help you out. So I mean, you're not just going to be stranded by yourself, where a lot of asphalt guys will leave you hanging because they treat it like they're going up to the NASCAR stage.
Now, another question I have. Now, is it more with dirt racing? Is it more casually oriented, or is it like how do I explain this properly? Like casually in the sense of like you can come and go per races that you can go to, or do you have to make all the races? And is there a penalty if you don't make the races?
So I mostly race like small time stuff. Obviously, I'm not like in the the big leagues of dirt racing. But in like small time stuff, it doesn't hurt you. Like obviously we keep track points and like state points and national points and stuff like that. So I mean, if you're gonna run for a points championship, then yes, it hurts you to miss. But as far as like, you don't get penalized anything for missing. It's just you won't have a chance to win like track championships or state championships, national championships, anything like that.
How many state championships have you won?
0, because North Dakota has, for the sanctioning body that we're in, North Dakota has some of the most talented drivers in the nation.
North Dakota.
So it's pretty difficult to win state championships, track championships. It's really tough. You have to be on your game all the time. Oh, I can explain in the picture up here. That the left rear tire going down like that and pinning against the bottom is actually what we in dirt call rear steer. That helps the car turn, because a lot of the times, like I said, we're on half-mile tracks or smaller, and that half mile is actually measured from the top of the track all the way around. So we use rear steer, which is where the rear end actually goes down and forward towards the back of the seat to help the car rotate into the corner. So that's kind of just in that picture there. And that is a picture of my new car. Okay. Anybody have any questions before I move on? Any other questions?
I mean,
I should-
it's
How much
interesting.
did it cost to build your car?
Well, so the chassis will depend on, like, so the chassis meaning everything that's blue in that picture. So like all the bars, like the roll bars and everything, that comes from a certain, like, different builders. So there's probably 1,000 different builders out there that build chassis. And then shocks, it depends on where you get them from. But I would say the car in that picture probably costs around, to buy it off of off of what people are selling them for. I would say probably about 25 to 30 grand. And that might be a little low, just with all the fancy parts that we have on it that aren't necessarily like needed.
Also, I think you talked about it, but not gonna lie, I was trying to get my face to shit. The dirt cars, the way it looks in this picture right here, like, did you say why it looks like that exactly? Like, why it's all like the front ends like that and the back has a, like, kind of squarish? You know what I mean?
It's
Oh,
aerodynamic,
no,
isn't it?
I didn't really go over that. I'm glad you said something though. So all the orange stuff on the nose there, right at the bottom, is what we call valence. It's usually plastic. Some people make them with metal, but those people are out there. That is to help seal the nose to the ground and make it more aerodynamic. So Jason, you were actually right. You were right with that one.
Yeah. I mean,
And it's,
it's just basic
Oh.
engineering to me.
yeah, I
wanna
keep
go
forgetting.
It's like your name's
keep
engineered
forgetting-
or something.
I keep forgetting you're
yeah,
smart.
Yeah, I mean, man, I mean, it's just how actually modern vehicles would look too if we could actually figure out how to properly set up. Because the more thing is, like, it saves on gas and allows you to move a lot more. It glides you a lot faster across the wind versus a square body, like the one in the back of this picture. I like the look of it, but I guarantee, like, the squarish body slows it down quite a bit.
So the back half of these cars are not really meant to be aerodynamic because, like I said, we drive on like half miles or smaller. So you don't really get the speed built for the aerodynamics to really start playing in effect. But like as far as the nose goes, with the car in the picture, and I'll explain a little bit later when I kind of diverse into the different classes and stuff. when the nose is sealed into the ground, like that orange part is almost touching the ground or it's in the ground, it actually helps the car turn better. Because if the nose is up in the air, the front wheels can kind of glide wherever they want, and they don't really have enough weight on them to turn. So the nose being in the ground actually helps, and the back half of the car is kind of just for show, I guess, because realistically, we don't go fast enough to use aerodynamics.
So, is the front of the vehicle weighted then, that plastic, for it to actually be getting that deep into the ground? Because I mean,
No.
to me, like what's it made out of? Is it aluminum by the looks of it?
So everything that's not orange on there is aluminum. It's really low gauge aluminum, or yeah, low gauge, and everything is hand built on the bodies.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, then the vehicle's really, really light. So how does the nose stay close to the ground when that front end lifts? Because very thin aluminum is very light material to sit there and be like racing with.
Yeah. So I think I had another picture in here, but basically what it does. Okay, that one will work because I can explain it. So with the left front or left rear being dropped out a lot like that, like normally the top of that left rear wheel will sit flush with the rounded part of the wheel well. So I mean it drops out pretty good, and how we fix that to keep the nose in the ground is we actually make the right front suspension soft. Like we'll put really soft springs in. We'll put shocks that like the shocks that go on your regular everyday street cars are supposed to be kind of bouncy to make your ride more comfortable, like where it's not so jagged. The shocks we put on these cars are actually, so like the right front shock is what we call a pin down. So as soon as there's any weight that gets pushed down on that shock, it'll push down soft and it'll come up hard. Like you can't pull. You could put it in a vise and pull on it as hard as you want, and it will only come up, like half an inch every like second. So it pins it down so that way the nose sticks in the ground better.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, like that's what is that? Is that like a what's that red piece right there? Is that hydraulics?
That's actually a shock.
Oh,
That's
a
one of
shock.
our that's one of our shocks. With dirt, we don't run them straight up and down most of the time. We'll have them tilted. So like that shock on the left front is probably the closest to being straight up and down, but it's still kicked out. The top is actually pulled back towards the inside of the car, and the bottom is kicked out towards the bottom of towards the wheel. So that way when it goes down, it'll push it down, and then it'll pull it back, or it'll let it back out.
Okay. So and that's you driving it, isn't it?
Yep. That's me and my car. Last year.
Huh. I gotta say, whoever
What
took
is,
the picture did a good job.
Now,
Very
do you
clean.
guys have sponsors?
Yep. In that other picture of the car from this year, you can see them a little bit better, I think. Yeah. So everything that has a logo on our car or on my car has paid some kind of money. The one that's just below the air cleaner on the hood, or the hood scoop, that's my parents' business. I drive for them. I don't own my car. I'm more like a contracted driver. And they do a lot of the sponsor hunting for me, because obviously I live way too far away for half the sponsors they got. But yeah, we get sponsors for everything from race gas. Well, we run methanol, which there's you have options of race gas or methanol. We run methanol because it keeps the car cooler. All the way to like oil changes for our semi and all sorts of stuff.
Did Mason pass out drunk?
I think Mason's gone.
Bro, the man had
Too many bush
Okay.
lights got me on.
I was gonna say, this is, like everyone else has been pretty damn quiet.
No, I mean I'm just here listening, man. Because again, I don't know the whatchamacallit. the ins and outs of actually doing races and stuff like that. I just watch from. I watch Formula One and played some of the video games, but when it comes to like the nitty gritty of understanding like the behind the scenes stuff, I know very little to it. So just sitting back and listening and trying to learn a bit or thing or two about it.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask you, Tyler. Explain to me, because even though I was doing it for the drifts, explain to me how you were saying you were going outwards and inwards to get closer to me when we go kart racing at the place. You know what I'm talking about? You're like,
Yeah.
you're saying you were going wide to get more time.
Okay, so and I can say this with autocross, F1, things like that. With anything that's asphalt that's a course, like that isn't just a left turn, you're trying to look for the most momentum filled path. So when it comes to like go-karts, like you were explaining, when you're driving a go-kart, it has no power. So you don't want to try and like turn the corner really sharp, like a hairpin, like just real tight turn. You want to keep the momentum and keep what little power you have working for you. So like when I mean swing wide, I mean like when you're coming off of a corner, instead of trying to turn that corner really tight, take the corner, like enter wider, just barely get to the middle of the corner, and then like go all the way out to the other side wall. Like don't like go super tight, because then you're killing yourself time wise.
Okay.
So it's all a game of momentum. You just keep your momentum up, and eventually you catch up with whoever you're trying to catch up with. It's the same with any motorsport, I guess, too. NASCAR's momentum. You don't want to be stop go into the corners. Dirt modifieds, like the one in the picture, is the same way. Dirt especially is momentum. You don't want to stop, turn, and then get back on it, because you lose a lot of time doing that.
It also keeps you from spinning out, depending on what kind of car you're driving.
Exactly. Yep, bro. That's actually a really good point, Broden.
So has the tracks ever been really muddy? Like
When
have
I
you
used
done
to-
any rain races?
They usually won't let us race if it rains, but they have to water dirt tracks. Obviously, they water them depending on how the night goes. Like if it's really, really dusty, they'll water it a bunch. And there has been a few times where we call it slime. It's where the top probably inch of the track is just the slimy mess, and you can't go anywhere because as soon as you go to push the throttle, it'll just spin. So I've definitely been on some of those tracks, and they suck because you have to roll around the track for like a half an hour, just packing it in with your car. And then once it's all packed in, it'll get like a really nice matte brown kind of color, and that means that it's good.
Okay. So I'm assuming like these must get very dirty, right? I'm assuming your vehicle gets very dirty from driving on the mud for long periods of time.
Yeah, it's
Have
it's
you ever
pretty
gotten
bad.
into has there been any crazy accidents or anything? Like did anyone spin out or get hit?
I mean, we have people spinning out and wrecks and everything about every week. Even when I moved up to the modified class, it was every week there for a while. We had spin outs, we had wrecks, we had all sorts of stuff. My worst, I would say probably my worst one was in October. I was driving it was my last race in a sport mod, and I ended up getting helped off the top of the track, doing probably 70-80 miles an hour, and I actually hit the retaining wall that kept me from going out, what we call out of bounds, which is out of the boundary of the fence, or out of the boundary of the track. And my seat bent, and it broke 3 sinuses in my spine and did some nerve damage and that kind of stuff. I mean, that's probably my worst one. I've seen others that have been really bad. People getting hauled off in ambulances, and all sorts of stuff. It's a dangerous sport just because you can't stop as quickly just because you're on dirt.
It's just like any other car accident. It's dangerous, nonetheless. It's a very extreme sport.
Like
Yes.
Dale, R.I.P. my dude.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Dale.
Yeah, that one was bad. That one ruined NASCAR, but that's fine.
For a little, it's getting back, but it was a hard time for us NASCAR fans.
Yep, Dale was all there was. But yeah. So if we're good with that, I can go into explaining a little bit more of the classes and stuff that you'd see at like a local dirt track, because I mean I don't know every class there is, but I can start with my class since I know mostly about that one. The
It'd be
one in the
kinda weird if you
picture,
didn't.
I know the one in the picture is modifieds, specifically an IMCA modified. We run 604 crates with depending on the tranny, it could be a Falcon, Burt Bryn. The cool thing with my car is it has a transmission in it where the clutch is actually backwards for the low gear, which is like first and reverse are backwards clutch. So if you can think of how to drive a regular clutch car, you let the clutch out to go forward and backward. My car, you actually push it in to go forward and backward. I do have a clip. If you could pull that up, Jason. It's the
Now, does it make it easier for
Rear
racing to do
suspension.
it that way, or what? Or is it just preference?
it's supposed to be lighter weight and stuff like that.
Is it the rear suspension one or car
the-
dance or
The modified dance, 40th annual. The modified dance.
this one?
Yeah, that looks right. So this is oh well, I can talk about stock cars then. Modifieds are
This is
kind
not
of
it?
no. That's the stock car one. There's one that says modified. Should be anyway.
I only got 3 links. For...
It was the one right after what Jay posted. The scary stories to tell in the dark. Right after that one.
I grabbed that one.
It's okay. I'll riff for a minute.
There we go.
Okay. So this will be what modifieds look like. This is actually at a race called Super Nationals, obviously. This is where the best of the best go to test really show who the best is in the nation. You'll get guys from almost every state. You'll get the best from every state. I've been one time when I was in Sport Mods, and we didn't really do all that hot, but this is the kind of stuff that I get to be a part of every week. And
Now, is this the clip of you being in it, or is it just a clip to show the?
no, this is just a clip to show modifieds.
Okay.
This
Hell yeah, brother.
this was not obviously this was not me.
Voice
This was
work in there.
before. Yep, part of dirt. You end up breaking a lot of parts and stuff.
Hell yeah, look at how fast that motherfucker going right there.
And it'll
God damn, now I know what you're talking about, the back steering. I fucking just saw him do
Yeah.
that back steer right there.
rear steer. It's made to do that, so it turns in the corner easier, and it has more drive off the corner. So.
Oh! God, this makes me want to fucking grab no, it makes me want to grab a fucking goddamn beer and
All right.
Well,
okay. I
okay.
guess that's getting fucking
Okay.
cut.
It's too
Well,
bad because
that's
my wife
getting
just
cut.
left.
Okay, that's getting cut. Jesus fucking Christ.
We're still getting cut. But
Well, might
yeah.
as well say it worked.
Bruh, fucking that
Okay.
Cody was getting out of hand at one time, but Jesus.
Yeah, so that's kind of like that's the modifieds. That is my favorite class. I've obviously I race them, so I might be a little preferred, but
yeah, I think biases are coming through here on that one.
But so the next one I can talk about it in like a ranking sort of way.
This one. The
Yeah,
national?
I could go. Yeah, that's actually the next step down. Yeah. So these are what they call stock cars. They run same tires as a modified. They can run a bigger engine most of the time. They look to be a lot of fun. I mean, these cars are a blast to watch. They wheelie up a lot, which means that left front comes off the ground. Because whereas a modified can make its own traction because of all the technology in the back half, where you can make what we call mechanical grip, these have to make their own traction.
God damn, that motherfucker just fucking caught a great fucking.
Now, I think you guys can understand that 99 is my favorite car because reasons.
It's pink.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, he's actually one of the best drivers in the stock car class. That's actually kind of funny.
Oh, so what racing is this called? You said stock car or what?
This is just dirt stock cars. This is at Super Nationals, which is like it's the
Ooh.
where all
Ooh.
the best come to
Oh,
show,
no!
like
I thought
kind of
one
show
was
their
about to
flex
spin
their
out.
muscles a little bit.
I thought
Why,
for
why
sure
is there
one
two
was
99s on there?
Father and son.
Ah, okay.
Pink one is the son, the red
That's
one's the dad.
cheating.
Bro,
Wow,
look at- how
the
is
brutal.
Brutal spitting out?
They're brutal.
They pinched the shit out of that guy.
Dirt cars are
personally, bro,
another element.
I would have been dead.
Yeah.
Let
So
this dude go.
that is a
Look at his
fun.
car, bro. He won, but what cost? No,
Cody, why does it look like you?
because it is me.
He's not
It turns around, it's actually just Cody.
Okay. So I kind of touched on sport mods, so that's kind of like the entry level for a modified. They run less powerful engines, they run less technologically advanced rear ends, same tires, same wheels, basically everything like that. And this next class that is on the screen right now is what they call hobby stocks. It is literally the cheapest class to get into next to something called a Sport Compact, which is a 4-cylinder. These are the same engines as sport mods. They run factory prime wheel tires, which are basically just like your regular street tires that they throw on a car. Their chassis are pretty simple because they are supposed to be almost like factory, just a little bit of tweaking done to them. And as you can see, they don't really look like it. They don't really act like stock cars either. Stock cars will wheelie up and do a bunch of cool stuff. Hobby stocks are kind of a little more tame because of the lack of power they have. And yeah, this would be the lowest form to get into besides a Sport Compact, which, as I said before, is basically a 4-cylinder like a Neon or a, something like that you just knock the windows out of. But
Yeah, I mean,
so
this kind of looks.
Why
like
is there so many people in this race though? Like, there's so many cars.
It's
compared to
actually such a small track too.
yeah,
Having
this
city people.
this track is actually a 3/8 mile around the top, like around the very tippity top. To make a
Oh,
complete
someone
circle is
crashed.
3/8 mile. Yep, there's a good example. There's spin outs all the time.
Right
but
here.
this particular race is
Where am I looking?
actually bottom
there,
of turn
this
2
guy.
right there.
That guy was not
Um,
moving at all with the other.
He just gave up.
So the thing with this race is Super Nationals every year goes 3 wide, which usually you start 2, but they go 3 wide and 11 rows deep. So 33 cars in the final feature.
That's just insane.
So 33 cars on a 3/8 mile. And I mean, you can see some of them guys how hard they drive the car, and dirt racing is really fun to watch, especially when the track gets racy. Which racy just means that there's more
Oh.
than one way to get
Oh,
around the
there's
track.
that.
I was gonna say, what do you mean by that?
Bro, look at that. Someone got
Yeah,
pitted.
Yeah,
Oh,
he got
that's
hit
what I was
pretty
gonna do
good.
to Tyler, and I stopped myself.
Oop, oop, you got pit maneuvered, and there's the rest of them, and they're all
And that
going
guy,
down.
oh no.
So
Ooh.
that's kind of your. I guess that's kind of your overview of everything. Um, did you get that set up, Jason, where I can screen share and you can put it on stream or no? If not, that's fine.
Did not, but I could easily just.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I can explain this a little more, and that'll take up the time.
What am I hearing?
So
You fuck off.
probably that one. Okay, this I'll explain a little bit in greater depth because we have a lot of time left, and I don't have that much. So this is what a dirt modified looks like underneath the rear end. The thing on the left there that has the spring wrapped around it, that is what we call a coilover. There's a shock on the inside and a spring on the outside to make a combo of how soft it can be and everything like that. It basically keeps the car down. As you can, and then another good point as it's going now, the bar that looks like it's bent in the middle there, that looks like a J, that's simply called a J bar. That keeps the rear end from going left or right in the car because there's nothing holding it in besides that. So if you ever break one, the rear end goes outside of your car because it has nothing holding it in the middle. And like right now he's not on the gas, so it's the car has no rear steer in it, and I just want to make a point whenever he stands on it again, if he does. You can see how that left rear starts going down as he's riding on the gas. And then as soon as he goes all the way in, the whole rear end pulls down like that. That's called rear steer. Kind of the physics behind it. And it's just, I thought it was a really interesting point of view for a lot of people that don't think dirt racing is very technically advanced, and it is extremely advanced, because if you look, you can see that the rear end is missing the ground by a couple of inches.
I can only imagine if he hits a dip, that shit just slams the ground.
It does.
Has that happened before?
Yeah, it's happened to me before, yeah. It'll get rough, and like how I explained earlier that the right front shock and spring and everything is really soft, so the nose will stay in the ground. If the track gets rough at all, you can actually watch mud fly up in chunks because your right front frame rail is actually digging into the ground and throwing mud back up at you.
Oh, what the fuck?
So it can get pretty aggressive in one of these cars, but it's the adrenaline rush of a lifetime. Being in a race car is second to none.
Would you compare, like, let's say it's for the adrenaline junkies, you know what I'm saying? Would you compare the racing to like jumping out of a plane kind of adrenaline?
I mean, I've never done it.
I'm ready.
Like,
to
I've
show
never-
If you want to switch to the thing you want to show.
Oh no, it's fine. I don't know. I'll answer questions. I've never done it, so I can't say if it's more or less than jumping out of a plane. But for me, I've done a lot of stuff that's adrenaline seeking in my life, and it is top notch, the most adrenaline, because it does not stop. Like, you go from the green flag to checkers at lap 25, the whole time you are getting adrenaline, and especially when you're racing with another car, like trying to pass that car, you will have adrenaline through the roof. It is amazing.
Yeah, I feel like any sport where there's a risk to a person's health that gives you that adrenaline. Especially
that
like
would-
racing
yeah.
like this. Like the thing is about going that fast. It's just the human body's not like able to withstand it forever. So like that adrenaline starts pumping harder and harder because of it. So
Yeah,
it's really,
and
really interesting.
yeah, and here, I will pull up one clip so that you guys can so that everyone can kind of see what I mean by the people who drive hard all the time, because you have to in a dirt car, it won't turn.
And this is a clip that you have done, right?
This is a clip from a friend of mine that does a lot of photography and stuff. So I'm screen sharing it right now. Just let me go. Okay, let me know when it's.
But it's about you though, right? Isn't it?
It's not my car. I
Oh.
will say that, but
What is
it's a friend of mine that yeah, he does photography, and this is actually one of the fastest guys in North Dakota. Is everybody in here? Can everybody see it?
Hang on, I'm waiting for. There he goes. Yeah.
One second. Just readjusting. Go ahead. I believe we're good.
Okay, so this is the cockpit of a modified, what the class that I drive. I want you to notice how small it is. A lot of the people in the podcast have met me. I'm 6'3", 280. I go shoulder to shoulder in my car. Like my left shoulder is touching the left side of the car, my right shoulder is touching the right side. And this is what the inside view of a car looks like every week, every time you hit the track. Oh, and the little plastic things you can see on his helmet visor are what we call tear-offs, because clearly you can see there's a lot of mud and gunk and stuff being thrown up at your
You
face.
just tore it off.
Yeah, you rip it off and you let it go.
Is there like multiple layers on it, so it keeps fucking having more layers where you can see?
Yep, so you actually fold the bottom, or fold the one side, you fold it over and then put another one on it. So that way when you pull it, you don't pull all of them at the same time. And that's how you clear your visor. So like you can see it's starting to get a little bit dirty right now. And he pulls it and lets it go. And then it's clean again.
So I mean, I'm assuming he has an actual visor underneath all those. What happens if you use them all? I'm assuming you're just kind of shit out of luck.
Basically.
How many are there? Do you know?
It
Like, how
actually
many-
depends. So like I run 10 because there's different brands, so I mean they come in different sizes and stuff like that. But the ones I like to use are 10 in a stack, and they're actually laminated. So they're all together until you pull them. I don't know how many he has because he's pulled like 6 already. but yeah, no, this is kind of the inside view every week.
Now, does
And
he
you
win
can-
this race?
I believe.
Because it's just him and this guy right now I'm looking at, but
Like I said, this guy is the top-notch. I mean, this guy is an absolute animal. I mean,
have you raced
can't-
against him?
Yeah, I race against him every week now, and it's really tough. I mean, it's amazing the things this guy can do and be completely calm. Like, oh, and another thing. See the camera shaking like that? That's all holes or like ruts. So like the whole time you're getting kind of tossed around the car a little bit. That's what that is.
From people dipping?
That, and sometimes like the tracks get a little soft because maybe it rained or something like that. And then when a car goes over it, it just starts like pushing it down.
Yeah, it dips into the ground a bit. Yeah, because it's a softer part.
Yeah, and then
Oh, there's more.
yep, this is the feature event. The first clip was a heat. They usually take 5 minutes, maybe. This is the feature event. These are usually 25 laps. Obviously, I'm not in this clip because I'm in the back, but
So you're
I
in
mean,
this race right now, though. You're in this race.
Yeah, I should be, I think.
You just catch him walking.
Yeah.
You see him
No.
walking
Pushing
back,
his car
you see him walking
with that
back to the
fucking
pits with a
bag.
fucking hot dog in his hand.
Yeah, he's actually just for the audience. That's why we catch him.
He's glizzy gobbling back there with a fucking Slurpee.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm in this one or not.
It is kind of interesting because it's a lot of drifting by the looks of it.
It is, yeah. That's another thing with the rear steer is that with the rear steer you actually have to throw the car a little bit and let the back end hang out, and then that left rear tire comes down, and that's how you get your drive. Like that's how they get off the corner so fast, is because that left rear tire is down. So yeah, that's what I do every week. Obviously, I'm not up front with these guys because I mean the guy in the video right now, he has been driving for like 10 years, something like that. Probably, I bet he's close to 15, and he's won a lot. So, but
It's
That'll-
interesting nonetheless.
yeah, it's a very interesting.
Oh! Sorry, people. That's prior seizure warning.
Oh, it's it spammed it.
Yeah, no,
My bad.
it was starting to
My
freak
bad.
out. Like it was freaking out really bad, and I was like, "Oh, that's definitely a seizure warning." I'm probably gonna cut that shit out.
But yeah. So, is there any questions on that?
I mean, it's all interesting nonetheless because it between the different like styles of how the vehicles actually run, and then what you have to do to actually in order to pull off the race is kind of interesting. So you actually do all that drifting and everything yourself, then like you actually get really good comfortable with it.
Yeah, because in the car it doesn't feel like you're getting as sideways as it looks on camera. In the car you think you're going pretty straight, like you're not really kicked out that much, but it's probably just a feeling. Like for me, I've been doing it for 4 years now, so I mean it's not a huge deal. Like it's not a huge deal for me to kick the car sideways because I know that it's gonna be there. Like I know that the car's gonna catch and I'm gonna be able to drive it. When I first started, it was not that way. I was driving it like, you know, Sunday cruising it. I wasn't really driving it all that hard. So I mean, it's definitely a learning curve to get to the point where you toss a car in doing 80 miles an hour down the straightaway, and you toss it into the corner, and you have to have a lot of faith in your car to come around where you can actually, like, it's gonna catch and it's gonna drive the way it should, so you just trust it, and that's a really difficult learning curve.
Okay, I mean I'm assuming so because like even I don't think I would ever be able to do that or willing to do that because it just seems a little too claustrophobic for me.
Yeah, he's scary. He's
Yeah.
scared.
I'm scared. It's scary.
Yeah, I was the same way when I started. But once again, you get really used to it. At some point, you just get this feeling that, I don't know. For me, it's like this feeling of just like relaxation. Like I can sit in my race car, and it's just like you get that big like, you know, like that sigh of relief that you're having fun now, and that's a majority of why I do it. It's fun, and it's kind of like an escape from reality for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean it's about the same for all hobbies. Yours is just
Yeah.
a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah, you can cause a lot of bodily harm in mine, but it happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's all interesting nonetheless because all the racing stuff. To me, I don't really find it racing all that interesting and going in circles, even in like dirt racing and all that. But it's interesting enough to sit there and learn the vehicles themselves than the actual race.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for me too, is like I love to race, don't get me wrong. I love to watch racing, but in my mind I'm very analytical. I would rather learn why it does what it's doing rather than sit there and just go, "Oh, it's doing what it's doing." Like, you know what I mean? Like it's fun to me to learn new things and always be trying to keep up with the end of the block, you know, the people that have all the newest stuff and all the newest technology, and it's cool to me to try and keep up with that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed learning all this. It was actually really entertaining.
Cody.
Oh, my bad.
Why you
re-
do these?
You really like using that stupid thing, aren't you?
Yeah.
Every episode. It's
Hey, would it be my fucking... Would it be my thing if I make a fucking mic noise?
It's getting there, like to the point of his fucking outro he tries to do every time. I make him do every time too.
Shut the fuck up! You forced that.
That's what I said. I said make you. I did say make you, bitch.
You said no. You said young man. You tried to, voice. You motherfucker.
Well, is there any more questions?
No, but
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but right here and now is
Jay's has a
Jay's
question.
Power Minute. Boom, and then
Oh.
yeah, editing done.
Hello, Jay here. Today my power minute is pictures of my cat, Milo.
I want waffle fries.
Editing.
Welcome back from Jay's Power Minute. That was insane, Jay. Good topic.
Yeah,
All right.
no, I really like that
And
whole
he-
thing that she showed there, and right in the middle, it was really
For
cool.
real. That was awesome. Bro, any thoughts on that?
It could have been done better.
It could have.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little underwhelming, but yeah,
Hey,
it was a good. It was a good 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine
you
she-
guys really fell in for that whole bit there, huh?
What
Really,
bit?
really.
Well, I'm waiting for Tyler to pick it up again, but he's just sitting there making it awkward. I don't know.
You guys are venting. I'm just letting you vent. I'm a good host.
I was sitting there in my head like, Tyler, you're damn.
I'm the chill host. I don't have to say
Tyler,
anything.
read my mind, Tyler, read my
Hey,
mind.
you're the host. When it goes quiet, you need to speak.
Where is
Well,
my
that could be
mind?
edited out in post. That could be edited out. That's fine.
We're leaving it.
So I mean, I think we've covered basically everything today. Everything that I had kind of prepared. Is there any other questions anybody has?
No, I
Got
learned everything.
No, I'm good.
You what? What are we talking about?
You got any questions?
And with that being said,
Fucking.
cue the outro.
Q. Cody, do it.
Who's driving this podcast? Oh my god, I'm mess you up. What do you mean I can't talk on the podcast? Oh my god.
Boy.
Thank you.